Good morning. It is 10:26 a.m. on Sunday, September 18th, 2016. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up, kind of enjoying this thing that my hair is doing right now. Uh, this is 5 more minutes. So, yesterday I spent a lot of time still digging into more D&D stuff, but while I was doing that, I decided to put on some more Star Wars Clone Wars on Netflix in the background. Now I've watched a little bit of it, but so I had watched a little bit of it, um, and so but I watched a bunch more yesterday because I kind of just sort of had it on in the background all day, and so I'm now like midway through season 3, and I feel like it's the right way to watch that show. Now, it's one thing if you were watching just half an hour a week as it was originally airing, that would probably be pretty easy. Um, but the show is kind of interesting in the sense that it has a lot of filler material, which kind of makes sense. I mean, it's sort of presenting itself as this sort of war diary thing that has some that are like main narrative arc stuff and then a whole bunch of stuff that's like, okay, now let's follow these side characters for 3 episodes. And the side characters, it's nice in the sense that it's fleshing out the universe, that's what kind of part of what the show is about, and it's what you do when you have a series that is taking place between two movies that people would have seen already. If you're trying to say, okay, well, all of this is taking place in between this point and this point that you already know, a lot of what you have to do in that is to try to build narrative stakes for characters that aren't in either of the movies, and so that you can care about what's happening. But it's also good in the sense that part of the problem with the prequel movies, and I'm kind of an apologist for the prequels to an extent, in the sense that I feel like the story itself that runs through the prequels is actually pretty good. It's mostly the execution of the films that introduces the problems. Um, the direction of the actors, just stuff that gets kind of breezed over and not explained very well. I mean, I think that's where, like the dumb, goofy jokes that get thrown in there that just are kind of jarring tonally. Um, that's the stuff that bothers me in the prequel movies. But the story itself is not terrible. And so it's kind of interesting with the Clone Wars to have it really fleshing out Anakin as he's in this period between episode 2 and episode 3 where he's still very much a hero, but he does have these darker tendencies, and to have that explored and how Obi-Wan is reacting and how Padme is reacting. And of course the series introduces his Padawan Ahsoka Tano, who's not in the movies, but uh, we see his influence on her too, where she's not quite the same as he is, but she very much admires that he's a little different than all of the other Jedi. He's, perhaps a little reckless sometimes, but then he also gets the job done, and so we can recognize that, like, oh, well, that's kind of where the seeds for the dark side stuff start to grow. But would she also turn? Well, that's a perfect example of what I was talking about, where what a show like that needs to do is introduce characters that we don't already know the fates of. And that way we can wonder, well, gosh, we never saw Ahsoka in episode 3 or any of the others because she's a new character introduced in the series. So what does that mean? What happens to her? Um, Part of the reason I decided I wanted to go through Clone Wars, though, actually, is because I watched the first couple of episodes of Rebels, and that actually interested me more than Clone Wars. But I kind of decided that I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to fill in those gaps. I wanted to have all of that. And so I watched a bunch of Clone Wars, and like I said, I feel like there's probably somewhere on the internet somebody's got a essential episodes list where if you wanted to be watching it with more attention, you could skip the filler episodes. I'm sure somebody has done that. Um, and that might be a good way to do it too, because what I'm finding as I go through is that a lot of the filler stuff, I mean, it's not bad, but it's also not as compelling. But then when the show is good, it's so good. So it's kind of a mix that way. So anyway, and just now, as I sit here, I realize that I have once again forgotten that on Sundays I'm supposed to be doing my Avatar: The Last Airbender rewatch. Oh well. I will do that tomorrow. So, yikes, sorry.